The never-ending topic that always comes up every time a top-level boxer performs. Canelo Alvarez fought this last weekend. Let's talk about fighter pay. He made $45 million. And they want to compare it to what Usman made of the $500,000. Look, Usman didn't make $500,000, and if you guys believe that, you're absolutely naive. You hear all the time around the backroom deals. That's fine. But he didn't make anywhere near $45 million either. So I can see where everyone is going with this, with, oh, look at what Canelo made. Well, first off, Canelo is the face of boxing right now. You have him and Tyson Fury are the two faces of boxing. There's two stars in the whole sport of boxing. There's a couple other guys, sure, that we all love to watch fight. Terrence Crawford, Earl Spence. There are talented fighters that we love watching fight. Absolutely. But can you give me more than 4 or 5 stars in boxing off of the fingertips? Stars, people that are bringing in that $45 million every single time. Can you bring them to me? Can you lay them out without thinking about it? Right off the top of your head, can you do that? If you can't do that, then what are we having this conversation about? What people are trying to do is change the platform which has created MMA. And as much as I want fighters to get paid, I also don't want the sport to change. And everyone that says that I hate the UFC and I hate all, what Dana White does, this is where I actually kind of back a little bit of what the platform is in which Dana White has created with the Fertitta brothers. Fighter pay, sure, it should be more. I agree with you. I believe we should be in that 22 to 23% percentile of what the company brings in. The athletes should be in that percentage, especially the champions. Boxing is very heavy centric on giving their fighters 50%. There is one main event. Can you tell me who fought before Canelo Alvarez and Triple G? Can you tell me the prelims? Absolutely not. And if you can, you maybe saw the co-main, but it wasn't a star out there. And don't get me wrong, the fighter was talented. I remember he was a champion, but I don't remember anything else about him. That's it. So when you look at MMA, you have other fighters that are on the undercard. You have other fighters that are the opening fights on the main card. Those fighters are on their way to becoming stars. You want to know why? You want to know what the difference is between boxing and MMA? They've got upcoming stars that are fighting on either the late prelims as the main event on the prelims, or they have them opening the fights on the main card. Those are potential future stars. What you're looking at, Cyril Gane didn't become the fighter that he is by fighting on the prelims of the prelims that no one ever watched because the main event was taking $45 million. You guys are now following these younger talented stars because not the main event doesn't get $45 million. What people are complaining about, media specifically, is making this a worse situation and scenario. They need to stop. Because what they are basically doing is they're going to try to change how this sport is done. What brought this sport to the forefront? By them complaining about it's just so tragic that these fighters are not making $45 million or $100 million or whatever. And everyone wants to use Conor as the example when he fought Mayweather. It was a combination between the two sports that really catapulted that fight into making the amount of money that they did. Canelo is the best boxer right now in the whole sport of boxing. He's only making $45 million. That was an anomaly of what happened between Mayweather and Conor when the two sports joined together to create a huge platform for both of those fighters. That is not going to happen. The MMA platform is working. The promotion style in which it's doing is creating jobs and financial stability for a lot of these athletes. They have opportunities to basically train in Vegas. They got the PI that's out there that feeds them. They got the PI out there to help them with the recovery, to make sure that all the top athletes are being taken care of. Boxers don't have that. Sure, they all make it. The main events make a lot of money, but those undercards don't make what you guys are thinking. And there's no way that Kamaru Usman only made $500,000. You hear about it all the time. Daniel Cormier's come out a couple times. Other fighters have come out and said, Anthony Pettis just came out and said he's gotten 2 or 3 of those $1 million bonuses. All of these things happen. There are backroom deals. I remember that I was getting big checks in the back doors and I was getting checks at home when I was fighting for the UFC. Big checks. Almost basically what I was making to fight. And they were giving me, especially when I did the main event with Benson Henderson, I got a huge check at home waiting for me when I got there. There's a lot of checks at home that people don't realize. And the other thing people don't realize, is the money that they are showing to the athletic commission doesn't mean, not even talking about pay-per-view, not even talking about the backroom deals. That doesn't have to be the number. That's not the real number every single time. There was moments when I fought for Bellator. There was moments when I fought for Strikeforce where my check showed I only made 5 or 10 grand. You guys are kidding me. I would never have got out of bed for that. Not at the stage of my career where I was at. It's because I allow myself, and I know other fighters have done this as well, they allow you to see what they want you to see. I only want you to see that I made $500,000. I only want you to see that I made $1 million. I only want you to see that I only made 15 grand. It's what they want you to see. At the end of the day, they file their taxes separately, and I can tell you now that it's not for $500,000. So all of those things, the media needs to really, really stop on ragging on the fact that these top level fighters or these fighters in general are not making enough. Of course, I am on the side of the fighter. I want them to make more money, but there is 14 to 15 fights on every UFC card pretty much. Okay. And the Bellator also has another, basically follows a very similar format. One, and the PFL follows similar formats where you get anywhere between 9 to 12 fights on every card. I could not sit through a night of boxing for that amount of fights. It would bore me to death. And they don't have any stars that I really care to watch. And the stars are built by the prelims to the main card and then working their way up. And that format has worked for the sport of MMA since the conception of it. And it will continue to work that way for the benefit of the fighters. And yes, they can make more money, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. If you want them to start making money, start making the push for them to get a little bit more of the pie in increments, 3% more, 2% more, whatever it is. Right now, I believe they're making 17% of the pie. If you want to get them to 20 to 21%, that's the push you should be making. You shouldn't be complaining and comparing them to the Canelo Alvarez, who is probably hands down the best boxer in the world right now. He's very close besides Tyson Fury. Canelo Alvarez having to go up several weight classes just to find competition because he could fight at 160, he could fight at 154. I don't know if he can make 54 anymore, but he can still fight at those weight classes. He's gone up several weight classes to get to the top guys, the people that can challenge him. You're not comparing them the same. They are not apples to apples. They're not oranges to oranges. These are apples and oranges. Do not listen to the media and them trying to convince you that it's okay to take MMA into a boxing format. It is not the way this sport was developed and created, and it will only tear this sport down. You will end up with one person making a lot of money, and no one will care about the people underneath it. The format and the way that this sport was created is really what creates so many stars and keeps people interested. Because if you want to go by what you're talking about on how these things, Nate Diaz would have never became a star. The record, the losses, all of those things would have left him on the prelims to the prelims on the undercard of the undercard. You would have never have seen the fucking warrior that he is and the person that he ended up being. The needle mover that makes a ton of money and that brings all the fans in. Those are the things that make this sport great. When you listen to the media and them trying to tear it down and them trying to rebuild it in their own light and what they believe should be the right way is absolute nonsense. They need to stay away from that boxing format and get away from it as far as possible because these stars are being developed in every promotion. UFC, Bellator, ONE, PFL. There's a star in every promotion and they're there to be had. I'm being honest. Stay away. Don't listen to that type of nonsense. The format that we have now is working and they can continue to build on it by just little increments of a little bit more of the pie for the fighters. Baby steps, ladies and gentlemen. Baby steps.